Welcome to Martinsville, everyone. This is the NASCAR 1-Up Retro Cup Series round number 34 of 40. Like I said, we're at the beautiful Martinsville Speedway for the second time this season, and I'm alongside Ben McDonald for today's race. The track has gone through a bit of a change since we were last here. The outside line is a bit more viable, but you're still going to want to find your way to the bottom as quick as you can. What's going to be the biggest challenge, do you think, for the guys who start up in the outside lane trying to work their way back down to the bottom?
Definitely the challenge is getting past everybody and being able to have the speed to carry around the turns, hopefully getting a good arc out of the corner and getting enough speed to get around people and try to get to that bottom line as soon as possible.
And qualifying taking place the other day, we can give you the full starting lineup. Nick Ortiz has planted his Toyota on the pole position for the second time this season. In fact, 11 of the 12 playoff drivers are qualifying in the top 20. That seems to be a trend lately, and it's good to see the playoff drivers making their way to the front when it matters. We've got Ryan Caggiano in third. Remember, he started on pole for this race last time we were here. Alexa Lutchen in fifth, Duke Anzac in ninth, Justin Hutchinson 11th, Jared Polansky 12th, Stephen Hunter 13th, Chris Maley 15th, J.D. Martin 18th, Bobo Jones 19th, Kevin Carter 20th, and the 75 will start all the way back in 38th. That will be where your playoff drivers start, but we've got some interesting characters up at the front. We have, last time out, Jeffery Finguy won at Martinsville, and he starts second. We've got Jack Porkins up there, Ethan Zanstra. We've got a lot of playoff drivers up there. So far, no playoff driver has found their way to victory lane in a playoff race. Do you see that changing here today?
Well, a lot of the guys are running up or qualified up at the front. Every 11 out of the 12, as you said, qualified in the top 20. So I believe they do have a good shot of possibly having the first playoff guy win tonight. But there's also guys like Finguy and Porkins that qualified really well, and we'll just have to see how they do against the playoff guys.
And with that being said, the field's all lined up to go. We're ready to go racing, and we'll take you to the green flag shortly. This is 1-Up Retro Cup Series Racing live from Martinsville. The pace car is already on pit road, leaving us in the hands of Nick Ortiz and Jeffery Finguy throwing off a turn 4. They're coming in out of the restart zone. The green flag is in the air, and we are racing at Martinsville. And Nick Ortiz has got a very handy lead already, going through turns 1 and 2 for the first time for 125 laps.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the 92 does on the high side. Hopefully he can get down to the bottom. It looks like he might be able to clear. No, he doesn't.
That would be Ryan Caggiano taking the initiative to duck down into second place. So we've got two playoff drivers, 1 and 2, and Alexa Lutchen is going to try and make it 3 for 3 in playoff drivers in the top 3, and it looks like she'll be able to do it, but Jeffery Finguy is posing a big challenge up on the high side. Remember, like we said at the top of the show, he did win this race in the spring, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares this time around, as now Lutchen will clear Finguy. We got 3 playoff drivers, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you can tell the playoff drivers by the green outlines on their car. It looks very nice under the lights here at Martinsville. The 92 still running behind, trying to fight Alexa Lutchen for that third spot.
And she will have her hands full. Jeffery Finguy is now. Ortiz and Caggiano start to pull out a little bit to a handy lead of about a quarter of a second between the 91 and the 32. Toyotas lead 3 Fords of Lutchen, Porkins, and Finguy as Ortiz dives it into turns 3 and 4. Got to be careful not to ride that curb too hard, or else you'll be in for a very spinny afternoon.
Yeah, personal experience racing around this track. You don't want to hit that apron too much, or else you can possibly go around without the lack of grip on that apron.
And looking back at the battle for third place between Jeffery Finguy and Alexa Lutchen. Lutchen dives it down really deep into the corner. You can get away with that here at Martinsville, but you do give up a little bit on corner exit, and that allows Finguy to pull right back alongside her. But these two are going to be battling it out for a while, and it looks like Lutchen's actually going to get a nose under Caggiano as well in their battle for second place.
Yeah, I believe it's a good time to be very aggressive early on, because obviously there will be lap traffic, as this is only a half-mile racetrack. So you should probably fight very early on to get that track position, so then when they do catch the lap cars, they can be in good position and hopefully be able to get through it as fast as you can.
Although Caggiano seems to be working that high side pretty well. He managed to clear Luchin off that high side, but here she comes once again on Caggiano as we look back to the battle for 4th place between Finguy and Porkins. Now, Luchin's going to make another dive underneath Caggiano for position, and this time it looks like she might be able to take it. No, Caggiano can hold her off. And remember, both Caggiano and Luchin will not be returning to the series for 2021. They will both be dropping down to the new national division that will be starting up in 2021. So this could be one of their last best chances to win a race here in the one-ups in the top level series.
Yeah, that's also a good point there. The 50 is looking very consistent and has the speed to possibly even challenge for that win. Sad to see these guys go down to the national series, but we'll at least be able to see them race more next season.
Definitely, but these guys definitely want to prove they have the talent to run up front in the top division, and right now they're side by side right behind Nick Ortiz, who will be returning to the top division in 2021. Same number, just a new manufacturer and a new team for 2021. It'll be interesting to see how he fares with that. But right now, the focus is on the battle for the lead. We're 11 laps into Martinsville's night race here. And Nick Ortiz is actually going to have to hold off Ryan Caggiano because here he comes on the high side for the lead.
Wow, I was not expecting him to actually be able to power around that 91. So great driving by him and using every single opportunity possible.
He led that lap at the line, but Nick Ortiz has a bit of a run through 1 and 2. But Caggiano is going to clear Nick Ortiz on the high side going through 3 and 4. That's very impressive that the 30 managed to pull that off, and he is your new leader at Martinsville.
Yeah, the 30 is a very strong car tonight early on. We still have a long race to go, but we'll just have to see how well he does on the long run and when he catches lap traffic.
And remember, we will have one set of pit stops in this race. About halfway through, these cars can go about 75 to 80 laps on a tank of fuel and a set of tires. And so we will see one exchange of green flag pit stops if we do not get a yellow flag between now and lap 125. We had a few caution flags here in the spring, but it's very possible we could go caution free as we did at the Roval earlier and at Michigan as well.
Yeah, but this is a different style of racetrack. Those are Charlotte Roval being a road course / oval, and Michigan being a very big oval, 2 miles. So it could possibly play in a factor of, since it is smaller, more mistakes we have, and laps go by pretty quick here, but if you don't make the moves and have the speed, then you'll get chewed up and possibly wrecked.
Looking back now at the battle for 5th between Jack Porkins in the 16 and Richard Herman in the 53, neither of whom made the playoffs for this 2020 season. But back up front, it's Ryan Caggiano enjoying a very solid lead of about half a second over Nick Ortiz. And these two are good friends off the track, but once they're in their cars and strapped in, they're focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's taking the victory. Because remember, none of the top 3 have won in this series yet, so will we see yet another first-time winner in this series? We had one with Christian Vargas at Michigan, Peter Onjak at Las Vegas, Nikki Martinez at the Roval. It'll be interesting to see whether one of these 3 can add their names to that list.
Yeah, a lot of the non-championship guys have won or have not a lot of wins. This series is very even in sorts of competitive levels. Everybody has their shining moments and their special skills and tracks, and right now the 30 is showing his strength at the short tracks.
Remember, he won pole at Martinsville last time we were here and led the opening 51 laps before Jeffery Finguy took over. But he proved that day that he had a very fast car, and I believe this is the same car he brought to Martinsville back in the spring, so it'll be interesting to see if he can hang on to the lead as Nick Ortiz starts to close the gap a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make a move this early on in the race.
Yeah, hopefully the 30 did bring the same car as he was very fast, but hopefully he tuned it so that it can go longer in the run.
For sure, with Nick Ortiz on the bumper of Ryan Caggiano. He's going to try running a little higher line, see if he can get a better run off the corner, but that's also going to leave him open to an attack from Alexa Luchin in the 50, because she is looking for second place as well to try and challenge Caggiano for this win. She's got a fast car under as well as we approach the end of lap 21 of 125.
Yeah, these top 3 playoff drivers are definitely going to be battling here for a while until they catch lap traffic. These guys want the win, and they also want more points for their championship hopes and possibly getting the championship at the end of the season.
Yes, because all three of these drivers are in the hunt for the championship, although none of them are leading the points. That is the position that Stephen Hunter holds. He's currently running in 13th place, but I imagine with good runs here tonight, these three will be right in the mix of the championship battle before you know it. Caggiano was in a pretty heavy accident at Las Vegas, but he's rebounded nicely the last few races. He had a bit of a rough showing at the Roval, but overall he's been a bit inconsistent, but he's showing the speed tonight that he can contend for a championship, especially on these short tracks, and we've got so many of those left on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm wondering how the leader is actually doing in the championship standings. Could this possibly throw a wrench in his hopes of winning the championship? Maybe he needs to start pushing it a little bit more and being able to run up towards the front so then he can be an overall better champion and not just run at the back with a big lead.
That is true, because as entering this race, Ryan Caggiano was last of the playoff contenders, 12th in points, and I believe 52 points back of Stephen Hunter. So he can make that up in time, especially with a good run here tonight. But he really needs a good run here to put himself back in the playoff contention. Caggiano, 12th in points going into this race. Nick Ortiz, 6th in points, and Alexa Lutchen, 5th heading into this race tonight. So it'll be interesting to see which of these drivers can capitalize on a strong run.
Well, if they all keep a consistent pace and not get into trouble, they can all probably finish 1, 2, 3. Well, obviously, the opportunity of a win is more greater than just to finish second or third.
That is definitely true, because with Ryan Caggiano up front, the difference between a win and a second place finish is fairly high. It's about 5 points, the difference between a win and second place. I'll have to redo the math on that, but these cars are built to handle this rough and tumble Martinsville track, and Ryan Caggiano is proving it here tonight. He's still maintaining about a half a second lead as they complete lap 28.
Yeah, I love how everybody is very aggressive early on, and now it's starting to phase out a little bit. A lot of single file throughout the lead group. There is a couple people making moves on the high side and on the low side, so still a lot of action here tonight as we're only 30 laps into this thing.
That is true. We're approaching 1/3 distance in about 10 laps time, but for right now, we're about a quarter of the way through this night race at Martinsville, with Ryan Caggiano enjoying a very handy lead over his Toyota stablemate in Nick Ortiz. But Alexa Lutchen, Jeffery Finguy, and Jack Porkins are running a Ford 345 at the moment, and they are hoping they can take the blue oval to victory lane at Martinsville once again. Remember, Finguy won this race in the spring, and Ford is looking for a clean sweep of the Martinsville races this season.
Yeah, the manufacturers are definitely going to try to help each other as much as they can. Obviously, the playoff guys are more looking for the exact win instead of just having the manufacturer win.
Ford actually has a 38-point lead in the manufacturer standings going into this race. 200 points for Ford this season. But behind them, it's a very close battle for second. Dodge, Chevrolet, and Toyota are all separated by only 8 points. So it'll be interesting to see if Toyota can pull off a good run here tonight. They can vault themselves into the contention for second in the championship.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. Everybody's still fighting for a championship. It doesn't matter if you're in the Drivers' Championship or in the Manufacturers' Championship. There's still something happening during the race.
And with Ryan Caggiano now pulling out to an even bigger lead in this race, we can show you the rest of the field scrolling down your screen. But right now the focus is on the lead, because Ryan Caggiano stretched his lead out to a full second over Nick Ortiz. This 30 car is on a mission to take his first career win.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody wants to have their first career win done with, so then they can rack up more wins and get that pressure off your back, as many drivers in the series have not won a race yet but still want the opportunity to.
Drivers like Ryan Caggiano, Nick Ortiz, Alexa Lutchen, Jack Borkins, they're all on the hunt for their first career win. Jeffery Finguy has one, and it came right here at Martinsville. And he's looking to sweep the races here at Martinsville this season. He's got to do it from fourth position, though. It's not impossible, but he's going to have to make some very bold moves on Lutchen and Ortiz in an attempt to chase down Caggiano.
Yeah, there's still plenty of race left. We have barely passed the 100 laps to go mark, I believe around 80 laps to go left in this thing. So we still have a lot of racing to do, still have a pit stop, and still a lot of time to make mistakes for the leaders and for possible caution.
Looking back through the field, we're looking at Ethan Zanstra trying to take the 6th spot away from Richard Herman. He's having a fairly solid run in his NRW Chevrolet, driving the number 15, and he's having a pretty solid run in 7th place with Richard Herman directly in front of him and Duke Anzac directly behind in the playoff adorned number 3. There you can see him on your screen there. We're just going to take you a bit through the field as the battle for the lead has cooled down slightly, with Caggiano holding a 1.6 second lead. We can take you through the rest of the field. So we've got Duke Anzac running in 8th position. Behind him, there is Zachary Fitzwater in the 59 Wilson Security Dodge. You can see him, the white and red car in the back of your shot. He's running in 9th. He started 10th, so he's doing pretty well there. Justin Hutchinson, another playoff contender, is running 10th. He finished 5th at the Roval last time out, so a good run for him. Ahead of Michigan winner Christian Vargas and Darlington winner Jared Polanski in 12th place. Interesting to see these playoff drivers deep in the field, but I'm curious to see if they can make a move up through the field at some point in this race.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to affect the point standings. Obviously, a very big points lead for the points leader. Just still got to hold on for the 51 Steven Hunter as we're looking at it right now.
And behind him, Chris Maley riding a streak of 3 top 10s in as many playoff races, but he's not in the top 10 right now. He's currently back in 14th. He's going to have to make a bit of a run at it in order to take advantage. With Nikki Martinez right behind him, she got her first career win at the Charlotte Roval last time out, so we still offer congratulations to her on that. But she's running in 15th right now, not where she wants to be, of course, but hopefully she can get a bit of a better run out of that 77 going forward in this race as we continue to take you through the rest of the field. We've got Braden Saul back there in the 78. He's on a string of good runs lately. Bobo Jones in the playoffs. He's having a bit of an off day, actually, in the 13. Started back in, I believe, 18th, 19th, and he's still there, trying to make something happen in this DHL Chevrolet. Peter Onjak running in 19th, and Wyatt Dooling rounding out your top 20 in the number 29. Kevin Carter and J.D. Martin are the stragglers of the playoff field. They are outside the top 20, and now Martin's under pressure from Ace in the 24 for a 21st place.
Yeah, this is very interesting to see. I believe these playoff drivers in the back, they started near or on the outside line, and obviously the big checkup at the beginning and trying to get to the bottom as soon as he can played a factor. After a couple of laps or so, you can start using the high line to get better positioning, but on the initial start or on the restart, it doesn't look to be the same.
And Martin's continuing to battle side by side with Ace in the 24. He made the crossover move work on Ace. Is going to send it in really deep into this corner, going to try and take 21st spot back. Martin came into this playoff contending race. Martin entered this 7th in points, right behind Nick Ortiz. So a good run. As we've got a smoker on the back straightaway, and it's Braden Saul. We were just talking about him having a good run of races lately in the 78, but unfortunately for him, his race has come to a premature end here at Martinsville on lap 48. I don't believe we're going to get a caution for that. I'm looking at the caution lights. They've yet to turn yellow, so I believe we will stay green despite Braden Saul stopping on the track. He did manage to get it to pit road safe and sound, but Braden Saul will be our first retirement from the race on lap 48.
Yeah, sad to see him go. He was doing pretty decent. Thankfully, the caution didn't have to come out and let the 30 of Ryan Caggiano have his big lead and would have bunched up the field, which wouldn't have been in his favor.
Saul was running in the 17th position when his engine let go. It would have been a shame, really. The Calder Park winner will have to settle for a 42nd place finish here at Martinsville. But Ryan Caggiano right now is enjoying a 2-second lead. As you could see in that shot, he is starting to approach the lap traffic at the back end of the field. I'm curious if he'll get there before green flag pit stops begin in about 20 laps.
I believe he can get there with the pace that he's going, and the factor of the guys in last place starting to battle a little bit. It looks like actually just singling out. They just got to keep going, and hopefully that they don't catch him before they start pitting.
Looking back now at Nick Ortiz, who managed to chop the lead down by 1/10 of a second. That last lap is down to 1.96 seconds. But it's still nearly a 2-second gap between the 30 and the 91. It'll be interesting to see if this 91 car can capitalize either via pit stops or by outright speed to try and gain ground on this 30, who is commandingly dominating this race.
He just cut down 2/10 that time by, so I believe the 91 has actually saved their stuff and is now trying to charge down the leader as pit stops are coming to near, and also lap traffic as well.
It'll be interesting to see which car can adapt to lap traffic, maybe make the right adjustments on pit road. We'll see how much Nick Ortiz can chop out of the lead on this lap. He took another 10th out on that lap. If he keeps that up, he will get there. The question is, what will he be able to do once he does get there?
Oh yeah, definitely, and also the factor of if lap traffic, if they do catch them at that time, or if it'll be during a pit stop, and if he can cut him on the pit stop by having the better pit crew and have the better stop.
My question is, how much will fresh tires mean to these drivers? Will an undercut be an effective strategy, or if tires don't mean as much, could you possibly stay out, run a bunch of hot laps, then come in later than your opponent and try and get an edge that way?
Well, since the leaders will be heading into lap traffic, if the caution doesn't come out at any time during this race, I believe you can go as long as you can to hopefully stretch out your lead and get through the lap traffic as soon as possible. And then you come back down pit road and then try to stay in front as they are trying to battle lap traffic that you have already been through.
That is true, and Ortiz has taken another 0.2 of a second out of Ryan Caggiano's lead. It's down to 1.5 now. And don't look now, he's dragging Alexa Lutch and Jeffery Finguy with him. This train of cars is slowly gaining on Ryan Caggiano. Let's see what the margin is. He gained 2/100ths on that lap. Not quite the margin he wanted to, but he's still making time. Not quite as much as he wanted, but he's still making a decent amount of time on Ryan Caggiano as we're closing in on lap 60 of this race.
I wonder if the 30 has actually wasted their tires trying to build up too big of a lead and possibly have a very worn out right side.
Well, Caggiano's just gained 4/100ths of a second on that last lap, so he's clearly got something left in his car, because he's managing to pull out to a little bit of a bigger lead as he comes off a turn 4 to complete lap 60. We're closing in on the halfway point of this race in about 2 laps time. So he could, in theory, lock up the most laps led in this race, which is worth an extra bonus point if he can manage to lead until the green flag pit stop cycle, and I believe he'll be able to do that easily. He could gain the maximum number of points in this race, actually, because he currently does hold the fastest lap of the race, which is worth another point. So if he can lead the most laps and get the fastest lap and win the race, he's on pace to have a really good points day.
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe he has to lead about 20 more laps or so until he can secure that most laps led bonus, and then obviously just hopes that nobody else can take that fastest lap away. Hopefully he can come down pit road and start turning better laps, but it's only a matter of time until we see that happen.
And remember, Nick Ortiz led the opening 11 to 12 laps, so Ryan Caggiano needs to stay out a little bit longer to claim the lap leader bonus in this race. We've crossed the halfway point of this Martinsville night race with Ryan Caggiano enjoying a very steady lead of about 1.2 seconds. Ortiz has closed the gap a little bit more, but Caggiano has plenty of space to work with now as he navigates turns 3 and 4, and you can see the lap traffic is still about as far away as it was when I last checked in on them. So he's not gaining too much on them, but does he really need to with a lead this big?
I don't really think so. It only matters when they start catching the lap cars, I believe.
And here they are, Caden Atkins in 41st, ahead of the battle for 40th, for 39th rather, between Cal Farrell and Arthur Xavier. These guys are at the back of this train, while Ryan Caggiano is soldiering on by himself, trying to gain ground on these guys, hopefully put them in between himself and Nick Ortiz, while the gap has increased to 1.5 seconds once again. So, Caggiano has enough car in him to build a lead once again. It's back up to 1.5 now. Question is, when will he come to pit road and take those fresh Goodyears?
Well, it's about halfway through the race, or in lap 70, so, or 6, like around this time. So it could happen at any moment, I believe. Maybe they can go as long as they can and possibly have the fresher tires at the end, or just split it in half. It's all up to the drivers, I believe.
Yeah, because looking through the back half of the field, you've got another smoker on pit road, and this time it's Ethan Zanstra, who was in the top 10. He was running in 7th before this happened. So it's a horrible break for Ethan Zanstra, whose race comes to an end on lap 69 of this race. Tough break for Ethan Zanstra, as his race will come to an end in 41st place. That leaves us with 40 cars still in the race, and Ryan Caggiano still up ahead of the train.
Yeah, that's a tough break for the 15, as it looks like it is a valve issue. Too bad that they can't do anything about it, and hopefully they can come back next week and show what they got.
That is true, with Ryan Caggiano now leading this race. At lap 70, he's got a 2-second lead now, 2.1 second lead over Nick Ortiz. He's got a very commanding lead and a very dominant race car. My question is, what can he do in order to maintain this lead? Does he try and save his stuff, or does he come down pit road right now? That's exactly what he's doing. Ryan Caggiano is coming into the pits at lap number 71, and he's taking Nick Ortiz with him. But Jeffery Finguy is going to stay out. He is going to try and lead a lap to take a bonus point for himself. Even if he's not in the playoffs, he needs as many points as he can get. And right now, it appears the green flag cycle is well underway.
Yeah, as we're seeing the leaders come in, there's already a couple drivers in, like the one of Henry Thomas and a couple others. So now everybody is trying to file into pit road, and hopefully that they don't make mistakes.
Kevin Carter staying out. He's going to try and take a bonus point for leading the lap, except Jeffery Finguy led across the pit lane, so he'll have to stay out one more lap in order to get that bonus point. But Carter is a driver that kind of needs it. He's back in the back half of the playoff field, and here comes Caggiano out of the pits right now, and he will pass Carter, who now ducks for pit road. He will take a bonus point for leading the lap, which is important for him. But I'm curious to see what size a lead Ryan Caggiano is going to have over Nick Ortiz when they cross the line.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple laps to see how they file out. Obviously, the 30 now has to deal with lap traffic because everybody, it won't be exactly the same pit stop for everybody. So we'll just have to see how well everybody does coming out of pit road, I guess.
And Kevin Carter stayed out. He will get a point for leading a lap, but once he comes out of the pits, the lead will cycle back to Ryan Caggiano, and it looks like he'll have a 2-second lead coming out of the pit. That's his margin over Nick Ortiz right now. And coming to the line, he's a lot closer to the lap traffic now than he was before the pit stop cycled out. So yes, he's got a 2.1 second lead, and actually Jeffery Finguy has managed to jump Alexa Lutchen in the pits to go from 4th to 3rd. So now it's Finguy chasing Nick Ortiz in their battle for the 2nd position.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that pit stop definitely shakes things up as the 30 is yet again in the lead. Great pit stop by them, and now the 91 and 92 are second and third, with a little bit of a gap in between them.
And now he's closing in on the back bumper of Arthur Xavier. Will Xavier let Caggiano go, or will he try and fight to keep his lap? As Ortiz took out 0.2 of a second of Caggiano's lead there. He's got about 50 laps to chase him down. If he keeps doing that, he'll be there in no time.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll just have to see how much the 30 will be held up by this lap traffic as soon as he can get to them. The 91, you can see them just barely at the top corner of your screen.
He did take another 0.2 out of the lead that last lap, so he's down to 1.6 now. This 91 must have made the right adjustment on pit road, because you can see him in the back of your shot. He is getting closer. Question is, will he be able to do anything with it when he gets there?
Yeah, that's a big question. As we saw the 30 do earlier this race, make a pass on the outside. So you could use both lanes to possibly make that pass. The real question is, which one will be the most effective?
Yes, because while they were bunched together, it seems the lines were pretty equal. But now that they're all spread out, it looks like the inside line is going to be preferred. The question is, will the 91 put the bumper to the back of the 30 like we saw at Martinsville in the spring when Jeffery Finguy hit the back end of Caggiano to take the lead? Will we see something similar to that here tonight?
This is just a repeat of history or just deja vu, because it's the same guys up front, and possibly the same story if the 30 can't get by lap traffic as soon as possible, or the 91 or the 92 can catch them soon.
Coming off of turn 4 to complete lap 81 of 125, Ryan Caggiano has locked up the point for leading the most laps, and he still holds the point for fastest lap. He actually gained time on his fastest lap. His fast lap of a 20.423, and that is fastest of anybody on the racetrack. So he's got plenty of speed in that Vegemite Toyota. Now it's just a question of, can he survive to the end?
Yeah, that's a big question. We have not seen a caution yet this race, so everybody's doing good and keeping it clean. Obviously, we had the two drivers out for mechanical failures. Sad to see that, but yeah, a fairly clean race other than that.
And with Caggiano now enjoying a 2.2 second lead, he's managed to extend the gap over Nick Ortiz, who's managed to chop it back down a couple tenths. So it's now 1.9 seconds between these two cars. If Ortiz can get there, I believe he can pass him. My question is, how long will it take him to get there?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be some time. I feel like they've been going back and forth. The 30 gaining a couple tenths like we just saw, and then the lap before the 91 gaining. So it might just be a back and forth, or if something happens to the 30, then, or the 91, then it could possibly grow or shrink.
And he's closing in on the lap traffic. You can see Andres Molina and Arthur Xavier closing in on the back of Ryan Caggiano. All three will have new numbers and new teams for next season, so they want to make sure to get as good a run with their current standing as possible. But right now, Ryan Caggiano is doing the best of all. He's got a 2.4 second lead, and it's actually grown since we last checked in on it. It's grown even more. It's now 2.6 seconds. So Ryan Caggiano, despite catching up to the back of the field, has gained plenty of time on Nick Ortiz. My question is, going forward, what can Nick Ortiz do to gain more time as Caggiano deals with the lap traffic?
He just has to get through it as fast as possible and faster than the 30. I don't believe he has enough speed as the 30 gain time on the 91. He just has to pull some great moves on the lap cars and hope that they can get out of the way and not block him.
Caggiano still has not made a move on those lap cars. I'm curious if he can even get there. He's still gaining time on Nick Ortiz. It's now 2.8 seconds as we look back at the battle for third place between Jeffery Finguy and Alexa Lutchen, third and fourth. Two Toyotas lead two Fords and Zachary Fitzwater's Dodge in the top five. But Caggiano has not made moves on the lap traffic, and Ortiz just took 2 tenths out of that lead. I'm curious if the 30 has stalled out behind the lap traffic.
Yeah, I believe they're actually holding it up because 30 is obviously the fastest car on track at the moment, with the fastest lap and being up at the front the whole entire race except for the initial start.
Don't speak so soon, because Nick Ortiz just took 0.4 of a second out of Ryan Caggiano's lead. So it's down to 2.2 now. Nick Ortiz is going to make this a very interesting race as we're closing in on 30 laps to go. It's still not a guaranteed win for the 30.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's still plenty of racing left to do in this one. A lot of mistakes can be made. A lot of time can be given up or gained. We'll just have to see, as the 30 is actually falling off from the back of this pack.
He's given himself a gap now in between himself and the lap cars. I'm wondering if he's doing that to possibly improve his times a little bit to try and maybe increase his gap once more, because it's held steady at 1.9 seconds. So if he can try and get past the 95 and the 23, that's great for him. But if he can't, he might as well just stick back there and try and crank out some good laps, as Nick Ortiz comes across the line and he lost about 0.4 of a second on that lap. So as you can see, Caggiano's making great time even if he's not passing the lap traffic.
Yeah, maybe it's just a factor of maybe a little bit of draft from the back of these guys, or if it's just the fact that he can be able to race against these guys even though he hasn't really raced too much this race.
Yeah, he has not been in traffic that much today. He's been pretty much all by himself all race long, other than the early portion of this race when he was chasing Nick Ortiz. But as we pass 30 laps to go in this race, he's now right on the back bumper of Arthur Xavier, and he really wants this 95 to give him the spot. Otherwise, he's going to have a bumper full of Nick Ortiz really soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he might want to try going onto the outside, but that might not work on the older tires. We'll just have to see how he can possibly get around this 95 and then the rest of the guys in front.
Yeah, he's got Molina, Soper, Xavier all up ahead of him right now at the tail end of the lead lap. But Caggiano is holding steady. He's got a 2.1 second lead, and that hasn't really changed much lately. So he's continuing to maintain a pretty steady lead, and right now he's not bothering to make moves on the lap traffic because they're not really in his way right now. Well, of course they're in his way, but they're not impeding him as much as
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting last couple laps in the race, as we still have about 27 laps remaining. We'll just have to see how the 91 can catch up and hopefully have the speed to catch him and then possibly pass him if he can.
Closing in on 25 laps to go. We'll hit that number next time by. We have just entered lap 100, and Ryan Caggiano has been in control of this race for a vast majority of those 100 laps. But right now, he's stuck behind lap traffic, and Nick Ortiz just took 0.3 of a second out of his lead. They seem to be exchanging a few tenths of a second back and forth each time. But can Nick Ortiz start clawing into that lead a little bit more? It's stabilized at 1.8 seconds. But can the 91 take advantage of the 30 being stuck behind all these lap cars?
I love the consistency by the 30, but he hasn't been able to have the speed to get around the 95. And it looks like he's actually losing a little bit of time off this front stretch. The 91 just cut down a couple tenths, so he definitely is trying his best to get up to the 30.
You can see him in the back of your shot. He gained a 1/10 on that last lap. Can he do anything more with it as we approach 20 laps to go in this race? Anything could still happen. It's still anybody's race between the 30 and the 91, as Ortiz chopped out 0.4 of a second there, so it's down to 1.3 seconds. This 91 is flying. My question is, can he get there in time?
Yeah, who knows? At this rate, he might be able to, but there's still a lot of factors left in this race, especially on these old tires they've been running on for about 30, 40 laps so far.
And Caggiano gained a 10 on Ortiz that last time by. So these two have been duking it out for the better part of 100 laps, and now it's coming down to the wire to see which of these two can get their first career win here at Martinsville.
It's great to see that these guys are all battling for the same purpose, a playoffs opportunity, getting better in points, and also for a first win. I love seeing first-time winners in the series. Pretty much just want to see more variety and see how well everybody can do. Obviously, the 30 doing a very great job today. If he can come out of here with a win, that'll be great. But if he doesn't, then he has shown his strengths and can look upon this and learn from this.
And Caggiano's lead has dropped. It's down to 1.1 seconds. You can see Ortiz closing the gap even closer. And don't look now, Jeffery Finguy is following Nick Ortiz. He's down now to 1.9 seconds behind for Jeffery Finguy. This could be a 3-car battle for the lead if they're not careful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I believe if the 91 catches the 30, there will definitely be a lot of battling. And since the 92 isn't too far behind, about like a second or so behind the 91, you'll be able to catch them and possibly battle for that win as well.
And we're closing in on 15 laps to go in this race. Anything can still happen, and as the lead is down to just 1 second, this is the closest it's been for about 80 laps. So Caggiano is keeping a lead, but it's shrinking ever so slightly. Ortiz has maintained a 1 second gap, and you can actually see them in the same picture shot now. As Finguy closes in as well, they're each about a second apart from each other, and it looks like it'll be down to these three to decide the race win here at Martinsville Speedway.
Yeah, definitely. These guys have been up front this whole entire time. The 50 has fallen back a little bit. She was up in the top 3 for most of this race. Sad to see that she can't battle it for the win, but still going to be a good finish overall.
And Caggiano is caught back up to Arthur Xavier once more. This time he's holding Caggiano up a little bit more as Ortiz is right there. You can see them in the same picture. It's down to 0.8 of a second now, and these two are going to be battling it out for the win. We're closing in on 10 laps to go in this race. Can Nick Ortiz get there, or can Ryan Caggiano hold him off?
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting final couple laps as we are at 14 to go left in this race. Still a lot to be done, just not enough time to do it. Hopefully the 91 can actually make up some ground and catch the 30 by the end of this race.
It's under a second, the gap between these two cars, and Xavier holding up Caggiano. Looks like Ortiz and Finguy will both get there. But my question is, who will be able to take advantage of the lap cars? Because Caggiano has not been able to pass anybody in the back half of this field. I wonder if it's because this car just doesn't handle good in dirty air, or if it's just because, I don't know if dirty air can even play as much of a factor at a tiny track like Martinsville. But look at the lead. It's down now to 0.3 of a second. He's right there.
Yeah, it is time to battle for this lead as they are right beside each other, nose to tail. This is going to be an interesting finish and a lot of time to have for the leaders.
And the gap is about 0.3 of a second. Ortiz is right on the bumper of Brian Caggiano. Both these drivers in the playoffs, both these drivers looking for their first career win, and both of these drivers are dominant in this race. Caggiano has been nearly perfect. He's almost led wire to wire. Nick Ortiz led the opening 11 to 12 laps. But it's been all Caggiano so far in this race. We've got 8, 9, 10 laps to go, and Ryan Caggiano is on pace to take his first career win unless Nick Ortiz has something to say about it.
Yeah, I'm wondering how his pace is actually doing. I'm wondering if he actually is feeling a little bit tight and maybe a little bit slower than he initially was. The 91 still putting the pressure on the 30, so that might also play a factor as well.
With these three, now Ortiz is now trying a wider line to try and get a better run off the corner as we're closing in on the very end of this race. We're entering lap 118 now. These two are under a blanket, and they're trying different lines, trying to get an advantage over the other to try and see if either one can get their first win in this race and take Toyota second in the championship.
Yeah, this is definitely possibly going to be a Toyota win unless that 92 can catch the 91 and the 30 and pass both of them. So great job by Toyota on having a 1-2 so far and being up front most of this race.
With 6 laps to go, 6 this time by, I do not believe that 92. Unless these two make contact, we've seen plenty of crazy things happen at Martinsville over the years. But barring that, I believe it's a battle between Ortiz and Caggiano's. The gap's actually grown to half a second.
Yeah, I don't know if the 91 is just saving a little bit. Obviously, that is not the move to do as we are coming to 5 to go. He has to make a move soon or else he won't be able to get the chance for the win.
And it looks like he's going to try making a move. He's diving underneath. He's going to try and see, but Caggiano just slams the door on him. He's got nowhere to go. And he's right on the bumper of Caggiano's. They enter 3 and 4, coming to, I believe, 4 laps to go in this race. These two are neck and neck. I just don't know if the 91's got anything left for this 30 car. It might have taken all his effort just to get to this point.
Yeah, let's see how well the tires are holding up for the 91. Definitely putting a lot of pressure on himself and his tires. So we'll just have to see how well he can actually make a move on the 30 here.
3 laps to go now. And Ryan Caggiano starting to stretch his lead out of it. I do believe the 91 of Nick Ortiz has used up some of his stuff trying to get to Ryan Caggiano. As we come to 2 laps to go this time, I just don't think it's anybody's race but Ryan Caggiano's at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely slowing down. I believe that lunge into the inside of the 30 was his only shot. Unless you can somehow power back up to him and possibly give him a nudge and move him out of line.
But now he's got Jeffery Finguy to deal with on the back bumper. These two are going to battle it out for second as Ryan Caggiano comes to take the white flag this time by. This is going to be his race unless something major happens in these final laps.
Yeah, just got to hope there's no trouble in front of him. Going on to the backstretch for the final time today, 30 has been very good this race, has led the majority of the laps.
Ryan Caggiano, he started on pole here in the spring, but lost that race. He's going to savor this one especially. Ryan Caggiano takes his first career win at Martinsville Speedway, redeems himself for the spring, and notches himself a well-needed win to move himself up into the playoffs picture. Nick Ortiz gave it everything he had, but second will have to do for him. Jeffery Finguy will settle for third and have 2 top 5s in each Martinsville race this season. Alexa Lutchen will come home in 4th place for her 4th top 5 of the season. And Zachary Fitzwater will round out the top 5. Justin Hutchinson will take 6th, a good run for him. Jack Porkins will be 7th. Duke Anczak will take 8th place ahead of Jared Polanski in 9th. And Nikki Martinez will round out your top 10 in a race that wasn't very heavy on accidents. We had none in this race, actually. But there was still plenty of action to be had in this race, and I'm sure we'll be back here next season.
Oh yeah, definitely. Caution free is great for the racing, allows everybody to show their strengths and not count on cautions, as this was a very exciting race.
And don't forget, we've got more short track racing to come. Next week, we're headed up to the Big Apple in New York City and the Superdome that is held up there. I'm sure it'll be just as exciting a race as we had here at Martinsville. So from Ben McDonald and from myself as well, we say goodbye to Martinsville Speedway for the season, and we head up to New York City for another short track race. Congratulations to Ryan Caggiano. He's finally a winner in the One Up Retro Cup Series.